On this video, I am continuing a harmony of the Gospels, looking at the wedding of Cana, following through a summary that I find in A.T. Robertson's work. I'm going to be reading it from the Greek and doing a translation and talking about it. This is his first sign, and it's interesting as we think about the signs that Jesus did. He had uh, different signs in the Gospel of John that he did. And I think it's interesting. The whole Gospel is built around the miracles that he did, turning the water to wine, healing of a nobleman's son, healing the infirm man in Bethesda, the feeding of 5,000, walking on the water, healing a blind man, and raising of Lazarus. And this is all then seen in the first 12 chapters. And it sort of is a sign discourse pattern. So as we read that chapter, it begins, Kai te hemera te trite, gamas agenata in kanates Galileas, kai ein hemat meter tu Jesu ake. And on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Ecclese de kai ha Jesus, kai hoi mate tai autu es tan gaman. And Jesus also was called to the marriage and his disciples. Verse 3. Kai husteres santas oinu lege he meter tu Jesu prasa autan oinan ugekusin. And when the wine was gone or had given out, the mother says to Jesus, said to him, they have no wine. Literally, said to him, said to Jesus, said to him. Kai lege, verse 4, aute ha Jesus, tiamoi kai soy gunai, hupo heke he horamu. And Jesus says to her, what to you and what to me and to you? That is, what do we have to do? What do you have to do with me? My hour has not yet come. Lege he meteratu tois diakonois, ha te an lege humen poiesata. Then his mother says to the servants, whatsoever he says to you, do. Esan de eke lithenai hudriai hex kata tan katharisman ton Judaion Kamenai korusai ana metretas duo e tres. And there were 6 stone jars standing there for the Jewish rites, especially for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. And verse 7, Lege autois ha Jesus, gemisatetas hudrias hudatas, kai egemisan autas heos ana. Jesus then is saying to them, fill the jars with water. And they filled them up to the brim. Kai lege autois lesa te nun kai ferete to arche tretleno hoi de Anakin. That is, and then he says to them, draw some out of it, draw some out, and bring it to the chief steward. And they took it. Hoste egusatecha architrethenas ta hudor oinan gegenemenon kai uk ede pathen estin, hoi de diakonoi edesan hoi ant lekates ta hudor phonetan num phion ha architrithenas. That is, verse 9, and when the steward or the chief servant tasted the wine, he was not knowing, or he did not know where it had come from. And now that it had become wine, he did not know where it had come from. So through the servants who had drawn the water, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, who had drawn the water, the steward of the feast called to the bridegroom, called the bridegroom. And notice in verse 10, Kai lege auto, pan anthropas, every man, protas tan kalan oinan, tisesin, tehaten methustosin, tan alaso, su teterikas, tan kalan oinan heos arti. He says to him, every man first serves the good wine, but you have kept the good wine until now. And then we're told that this is the first sign, tauta apoies sin arcain, ton semeon ha Jesus, in canates Galileas, kai ephanerosin, ten doxan autu, kai epistusan, esautan, hoi mathetai autu. This is the first of his signs that Jesus did in Cana of Galilee. And he manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. This is the first. We had mentioned the other signs that he had done. It's interesting when we think about the magnitude of this miracle. I was thinking just a note that I was reading in Haley's Bible Handbook on page 690, where he says the jars held about 20 or 30 gallons each. The 6 jars together would have held between 120 and 180 gallons, equivalent to somewhere between 550 and 840 of our wine bottles. So think about the magnitude of that miracle. And I think what this shows as we look at John's gospel is that Jesus is the omnipotent creator. And this is followed immediately by a discussion with Nicodemus about the new birth. And I think following John's theme, we start with the miracle of creation, changing water to wine. And this leads then to a discussion of how the Lord changes through a new birth a person's life and gives them a new creation. So this fits well with the developing theme of John's Gospel.